Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. I was going to go over a few things today on some winter bass fishing tips. What I've been doing, what's working, what's not working, what kind of poles I'm running, kind of the broad scope, but we'll try to narrow it down a little bit. So lately we have been hitting Cumberland River pretty hard, anywhere from Old Hickory Dam to basically Cheatham Dam. This time of year you're getting a lot of rain, so there's a lot of variables that go into how much current's running, if they're generating power or the temperature or a whole ton of things. But you read that water day by day. If we go out there and there's an absolute ton of current, we know that it's going to push those fish up. They're going to find cover. They're going to find those eddies. They're going to find those barge structure, any kind of infrastructure that's in the water, around bridges, all that kind of stuff. They really like to pin up to it. So that's a good place to start on a swift day. If it's not quite as swift, it seems like they scatter out a little bit more, and we're finding them in more the 8 to 12 feet of water range. And then we'll go over what I've kind of been fishing with them for. So one of my go-tos, this is a St. Croix 5'6" rod, and I'm running a Ned rig on it. I've got a Mitchell reel on it. It's nothing too crazy, but we've got kind of a green pumpkin color, and that does really phenomenal this time of year. Working it very, very slow across the bottom, and sometimes, when you're working that lure and it's down on the bottom and you're sitting here and you're bobbing it up and it's falling back down and kind of you're just hopping it basically across the bottom, pause it. Just straight up stop and let it sit for a minute, because a lot of times this time of year, bass are not moving super fast, and they want to see that bait pause and give them an opportunity to really snap it up. The other thing that we've been running lately, I'm going to go with a reddish hue. There's a ton of different brands, and different things work for different people. This is a DT6 in root beer color, and it has worked phenomenal lately. Usually you can catch something on it. And with that being said, that is a 6-foot plug. So, kind of branch off of that a little bit. We'll get to these other two a little bit later. One of the boxes, I keep a couple different boxes of plugs, and I'm not married to one brand. I like a different variety of stuff and colors, so kind of what I have. Now I just showed you that DT6. Now that's obviously a 6-foot deep runner, or a 6-foot depth plug, where you can basically get the big brother that's the same plug but 10 feet in the root beer color also. So depending on what they're doing with current that day, that's kind of going to depend on what choice I make on that bait. You can get those in a variety of colors. Kind of got the chartreuse. Some other good ones I really have enjoyed fishing with are the Bagleys. They have been phenomenal. Well, there we go. They've done really well. They're a balsa wood bait, and that balsa wood bait has a really nice action in the water, and fish seem to really scoop it up. So, kind of few crankbaits there. The reddish colors is definitely what they've been on. There's a million different ones out there, but for me, I've been hitting them on the chartreuse and the red. Just seems to work. So that's my go-to right now. Let's get this one buttoned back up, and we'll talk about a few Ned rigs. I love to Ned rig, especially this time of year. You can flat catch some big bass on a Ned rig. It just working it slow. So kind of start off with a couple things. We'll go with my hot colors. I've got two of them that I really enjoy using right now. One is gonna be this pumpkin color, and it's really, really a good color for around here. You wanna read your watercolor though. Throw what looks right for that body of water. This one kind of has that same hue on it, but it's backed by a chartreuse. That one's done phenomenal. Caught a lot of fish on both of those. I've got, some pinks, some green flaked, blue flaked, and I would give you the names to these, but the best thing is just figure out what's good for your watercolor, and go with that, because there's a handful right there. And all those are going to produce pretty big bass if you can get it in the right scenario and just work it slow. I think that's the absolute key this time of year, is just don't rush your bait. People want to power fish, and sometimes power fishing is the move, but a lot of times slow is better. Let me explain a story of why and what kind of really got me thinking on that a while back. So I was actually using this setup right here with the Ned rig on it, and I was out on I guess it was Cumberland. Yeah, I was on Cumberland, and I winged my cast out there, and something happened. I don't even remember what happened now. I was fishing with somebody, and I had to do something. I had to reposition the boat, or they caught a fish, or I had to do something. And when I did my cast, I just cast it, so it was all the way out, and I didn't have time to reel it all the way back in. So I just set my pole aside thinking, hey, I'm probably gonna get hung up, but gotta happen this time. So I set it down, and when I come back and pick my pole up, maybe, I'm gonna say 30 seconds later, I had a fish on. Because that fish had been watching, it watched the flutter of that bait touch down, and then it just set. And then that fish had time to actually sit there, look at it, and then scooped it up. So slower is better. Not always, but that's what I've experienced right now. The other thing is going to be a drop shot. There's a million different kinds. Get this untangled here, but a drop shot is a tried and true method. That is not something I fish with a absolute ton. I'm about to start trying to fish with it more. I used to fish with it a little bit and just have got away from it, but that's a pretty tried and true method for around your bridges, structure, because when you drop that down there, that weight's going to sit on the bottom, and then this is going to flutter. You can just kind of pick it up, move it around. Again, fish it slow. Give the fish time to see it, to find it, to basically be interested in it. You've got to, when it's cold out, and winter presentation is totally different than summer presentation when you're really power fishing a lot. You want to give those fish time to basically make a decision on, yeah, this is a piece of bait that I can go for and not, put out a ton of energy. The last one is something I'm going to be giving a try. We've got a little friendly tournament going on tomorrow, and I'm going to give this a try, this jig, and I've got like a water bug style, a couple little claws on it. And that right there, that's going to produce some fish, I hope, and hopefully some big bass. It's a little early to be throwing a jig, but there's only one way to know when it's time, and that's just try it. Switch your baits up, try different baits, get just throw them. The worst that they can do is not bite on it. You can always change out. So one other thing I'd like to talk about is knowing when to say when. I've struggled with that my entire life fishing. I'll put something on, let's say last weekend, this particular lure was working and I was just killing on it. I'll put it on there and think, man, why is it not hitting this weekend? It was just on. And I'll fish it and fish it and fish it and fish it, and I'll try multiple, ways and areas to fish it. And sometimes it does work because, lures are, maybe it worked last weekend and it's going to work for 5 more weeks. But other times, just because it worked last weekend doesn't mean it's going to work this weekend. So switch it up. If you're, people say, I've talked to several people and they're like, hey, I fished this, I'm not having, it's not connecting. When is it gonna, basically when is it, when do I swap? When do I fished this long enough? That's something you're just gonna have to make that decision on your own. But for me, if I fished a lure bait. I've hit a couple different areas, and it's just not producing in maybe a 30-minute to an hour period, depending on the day. I'm gonna get it off there and swap, because I don't want to keep throwing something that maybe the fish just aren't over the moon about on that particular day. Show a couple more drop shot baits. A lot of these came from Bass Pro, Walmart. Got several different kinds, and we'll get a handful of them up here for you. And those right there have been really good. So any of those colors, and like I said, that's my water around here. Your water may be different, and you just want to mimic that watercolor. What's that bait gonna look like in that water wherever you're at? And that's what you need. That's why it's important to have options in your tackle box. Let's see. One other thing, and I don't have it tied on right now, but I most likely will fish it a little bit tomorrow, is some crawls. I am a big believer in throwing a crawfish on a Texas rig. This right here is one of my favorites. And I'll shout out one more. Let me grab it. This bait right here, absolutely love it. It is a brown crawl, almost a green pumpkin color, and yellow orangish claw. And man, that right there is the ticket on crawl fishing on the bottom. They do phenomenal. I absolutely love them, and I've caught thousands of fish on them. Again, just like the Ned rig, have color options in your crawl stuff. I have some blues, some yellows, got some, brown with different flakes in it. Got small crawls, got some 3D crawls. Check this one out. That's a 3D crawl there. Looks pretty awesome. And just have options. Options are the key, because one day they might be ripping on a blue crawl, the next they might be on a dark brown or green pumpkin, or there's a million different ones. But if you have a few options and you do decide that, hey, I'm going to throw a crawl, let's say you've made 15, 20, 30 casts, and you haven't had a bite yet on that crawl. Switch the color. It doesn't necessarily mean a crawl's not working, maybe just that color's not working. And it's important to distinguish. And then if you fished multiple color crawls, tried multiple colors and maybe 100 casts on it, and it's just not connecting on the crawl, go ahead and swap it out. Get a Ned rig on, try a crankbait, try a drop shot, something else that maybe they're going to feed on that day, because it's very possible that they might just not be on a crawl. And that goes for any bait. If you're throwing a Ned rig, you've tried colors, you've tried different structures, and they're not chewing on it, change it. And I think that's true with any lure. Don't be scared to change. We're going out tomorrow. Got a little friendly tournament going on Cumberland, and we're going to hit it hard. Me and a partner are going out, and we'll see what happens. We're gonna use these techniques. This is the stuff I do, and I catch a lot of fish. Everybody that I talk to, I try to share this information, because why not? I'm not one of those guys gonna be like, oh, let's keep it a secret on what I'm doing. There's no secrets, man. Get in there, figure it out. Try different baits. Go, everybody doesn't have an unlimited budget, and I understand that, and neither do I. I'm very budget friendly on my fishing stuff. I just collect it up. I'll find sales on different colors, and when I go and buy, I'll try to get multiple different colors, even if I think, hey, right now that color's not it. I'll pick up an extra bag of it, and I just kind of try to build an arsenal to have the right tools to go out there and produce big bass. I know lately it has been slow. Winter months can be slow. That's normal. So if you're out there, you're trying, you feel like, man, I'm doing everything right and I'm still not producing that many fish, it happens. It happens to me. A couple weeks ago, Went out, we caught one fish in a full day. It was just slow, but you keep on grinding, keep on doing it, and you'll find the fish. You just got to keep on keeping on, and those big fish will come. Especially, we're moving into a transition period. Before long, the water temp is going to start rising. Every degree that water temp steps up, it's going to give an opportunity for more fish to move. You're going to see more fish start feeding, and this is the time to figure them out, get in there and get busy. This is when some of the biggest bass around America are caught every year, is right now. So get in there, find them, give it your best shot. If you've got a technique that you want to share, comment it on the video. If you've got a color of Ned rig, crawl, crank, whatever that you're like, man, this is working for me right now, comment it on there. Share it with others if you feel like it. I know some people's like, oh, I don't want to give my stuff away, and fair enough. But man, if you've got something that's working, help some people out. There's a lot of guys out there that they don't have a mentor in fishing, and they're just checking out stuff and trying to figure it out on their own, and it can be pretty overwhelming. So if you've got something to share, share it. We've got a lot of videos coming up. I'll try to video on our little tournament tomorrow, and hopefully we get some monster bass in the boat. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope these tips helped you. Check it out, like and subscribe.